Hey everyone, it's Wes here. I'm really excited to share my top 5 favorite study tips that can seriously boost your grades. Now, I know it's terrible. I know the feeling of being 3 hours deep into the Krebs cycle, but these study tips should make retaining the information a little bit easier. And at the end, I have a rather interesting bonus tip. So let's jump right into it. So coming in at number 5, this might sound a little bit weird, but trust me, it actually works. If you can, study at the same place and time each day. Now, this is called context-dependent memory, but I'm not going to lie, it's basically just a study routine. But it's a total game changer, and your brain starts to associate the information that you're learning with the location that you learn it. So when you're studying in your usual spot, it becomes easier to remember. Now, I learned this firsthand when I was using flashcards. If I studied somewhere else new, my flashcard retention began to decrease. So during your test, try to picture yourself in the location that you learned the information, whether it was in your room, your kitchen, or your library. It sounds kind of strange, but it actually helps. So coming in at tip number 4, this one has been huge for me, and it's teaching someone else the information that you learned. And it really helps you really nail down what you're learning. Now, I think of it like this. If you can explain the topic like the heart, and how it pumps the blood to someone else, you understand it better yourself. Now, it helps even more if they ask a ton of questions. I do this with my friends sometimes, and it really helps me clarify the concepts. So even if the questions might be a little dumb, still answer them and it really helps you out. So coming in at tip number 3, and I can't stress this one enough, every 30 minutes, take a 5-minute break. This is called the Pomodoro technique, and it has helped me tremendously. Trust me, if you're studying for hours without breaks, you're gonna eventually hit a plateau and a wall. The longer you study, the less information you end up retaining. Now, I've been there, but using this method, you'll stay sharp and you're going to feel way less burned out. And before you know it, you're going to look at the clock and, whoa, you just crushed 5 hours of study time, and it actually didn't feel like torture. Coming in at tip number 2, this is probably the most important tip that I've learned. I used to cram the night before a test all the time, and it would stress me out big time. But now I study a little bit every day. For example, let's say your test is in 2 weeks, which is 14 days, just study for 1 hour each day. By the time the test comes around, you've already studied for 14 hours. I can't tell you how much less stressed I am doing this method instead of pulling all-nighters every time. You've got to start early to feel prepared, and not having to study the day before the test is an amazing feeling. Okay, for the bonus tip, I know this one is rough, but hear me out. Once you start finding ways to enjoy studying, your effort will go through the roof. And I know it's hard to be passionate about balancing equations, but I always remind myself that this knowledge could save someone's life down the line. Thinking of it that way helps me push through the boring parts, and I feel way more motivated. Coming in at tip number 1, in the last but definitely not least, read before class. Seriously, this is the number 1 thing that you can do to improve your grades. If you don't know what the teacher is going to cover, you'll be lost right as soon as you get into class. I cannot tell you how many times I see fellow classmates in sheer panic during the class because the information was completely new to them. I always skim the material before class so I'm not stressed trying to catch up when the lesson starts. This is especially true for more dense classes where things move a lot faster. Trust me, even just a quick skim through the material can make a huge difference. That's going to be it for today, everyone. I hope these tips really helped you guys out. If you found them useful, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button for more study tips, advice, and random nursing things. Thanks.